Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Lee Cutler wins a tremendous battle, one of those grueling, grinding 10-rounders over the previously undefeated Stephen McKenna. He improves to 15 wins with 7 KOs, 1 defeat, and the defeat was back in 2021 when he got blown away in one round with 3 knockdowns by the at the time undefeated Brad Ray. Well, he's come on strong. He picked up his previous fight. He picked up the English super welterweight title. This was for the WBC International, whatever the silver, bronze, tin, whatever the bloody hell it's called. Might get him a ranking, but that's about it. But completely meaningless belt. This was a brilliant fight. And McKenna came in, like I say, undefeated in 15. But his previous contest, was it his previous contest? I think it was, with Joe Laws, when he stopped Laws in 3 rounds. Laws came in with 14 wins, two defeats, and just flew at McKenna, and they had this almighty shootout. McKenna was on the floor in the first rounds, so was Laws. Laws was on the floor in the first few seconds, but eventually ran out of gas, and McKenna chinned him in 3. And guess what? Lee Cutler put McKenna on the floor in the first round of this fight as well. Stephen McKenna, the commentators said, oh, he reminds me an awful lot of Antonio Margarito. I beg to differ. I think he's more like a sort of Northern Irish or Irish. Is he Irish or Northern? I think he's from Ireland, I think. Yeah, I'm not absolutely certain. I think he's from Ireland, from the Republic of Ireland. He reminds me a lot of a sort of Diego Corrales type, because this is a 154-pounder who's 6 feet tall and he fights small. You know, high guard, comes in, likes to get involved, likes the phone booth warfare. But, you know, he leaves himself open and he can be hit. He can be really hit hard. Cleanly, I mean. And Cutler did that. Cutler caught him on the top of the head and McKenna sort of swung sideways and fell over, got up. He was a little bit buzzed, but he survived the round. And then from then on, you know, once he gets sort of mid-range and there's some space to sort of work those levers, he's fine. He's an orthodox fighter, as is Cutler. And he was able to outwork Cutler, but he was using up huge gulps of energy. I mean, really a lot of energy. And you kind of got the feeling, you know, can he do this for 10 rounds? If this had been a 12-rounder, I'd have thought, oh, he's on very thin ice. 10 rounds, maybe. But he was huffing and puffing after 2-3 rounds. But he just will not stop throwing punches. Now, Cutler, you know, you did get the feeling, because Cutler was picking his shots better and being more patient, you got the feeling, well, McKenna's winning these rounds, regardless of the 10-8 on the first round. But is this a case of, are we watching a fight where one guy's winning the rounds, but the other guy's winning the fight? Because Cutler was able to land, I mean, again, some flush punches, especially with the right hand. But he was being outworked for huge chunks of every round. And then we got to, I mean, I gave McKenna, I think, between the 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I mean, those 5 rounds, I gave at least 4 to McKenna. I can't remember exactly what I was scoring it as I went along up here. I wasn't writing it down, but I thought McKenna's winning. I think he's winning the fight, because I was giving him the fight on output. I was giving him the rounds on output, but there's no doubt. You know, he's entertaining to watch, McKenna, because he's vulnerable because of the way he fights. He is very vulnerable, and Cutler was stinging him and was hurting him. He seemed to have the heavier hands, and Cutler's chin was fine, because don't get me wrong, you know, McKenna was landing punches, but they weren't having a great deal of effect on Cutler, whereas when Cutler landed, he did seem to be shaking McKenna. Even, I mean, McKenna at 6 foot tall probably sways a bit, and it might look like he's more hurt than you might think. But in the 7th round, there was a body punch which I thought it hurt McKenna. Cutler landed a great body punch, and McKenna kind of backed off. And then Cutler went forward, and as McKenna, when he's stung, he likes to come forward and throw immediate punches back to sort of regain the initiative. But he walked into, I think it was a backhand, and that sent him sideways onto all fours. And he got up. This is in the 7th round. He got up and he was hurt. hurt, and he was shake, rattling and rolling. Cutler went after him. I mean, McKenna got out of the round, but yeah, it was a horrible round for him, a really horrible round, because he was badly, I think, to the body and the head he was hurt. So he was not only buzzed, but he had some, the body was aching as well. The ribs were bending. And you did think in the 8th round, this is a chance for Cutler to sort of close the show. But credit to McKenna, he did what we know he always likes to do, which is just come out and throw punches. Absolutely nothing wrong with his heart, nothing wrong with his will to win, but he was absolutely exhausted. And yet somehow he found it from somewhere. He found the ability to, to actually, I don't know whether I gave him the 8th round, but it was near as damn it, a very, very close round. And he was still in the fight. He was still in the fight. And Cutler must have been thinking, what the bloody hell do I have to do to get rid of this guy? Well, you did at that point, with just a couple of rounds left after the 8th, you were thinking, I wonder if Cutler will wake up tomorrow and regret not being a bit busier, because this is a 10-rounder, not a 12-rounder. And maybe he paced himself a bit too much. Maybe he was a bit too patient. But the 9th and the 10th, they were hellish for McKenna, but again, still throwing punches. And at the end of the fight, I had this fight 94-94. I gave 6 rounds to McKenna, again on work rate, but the 2 knockdowns were 10-8. So that changed it from 96-94 to 94-94. I did a draw. So did one of the judges. But the other 2 judges had it 95-93 and 96-92 to Lee Cutler. So he won this WBC, paper tin, whatever the bloody hell the damn thing is, international thing title. But more importantly, I think he took Stephen McKenna's unbeaten record. McKenna, 27 years old, he can come again, but he's got to shore up that defence. He's got to start fighting, and to his advantages, that is to say, his physical advantages. He fights too small. He's too easy to hit, especially with the right hand. He loves having a row, but ultimately, boxing is the art of hitting and not being hit. And Cutler was the one that went in with that mentality. And even though he was a little bit too patient in places, didn't really throw enough punches, he got out with a majority decision. And I'm not going to complain about that. I had it a draw, but a point or 2 for Cutler, no problem at all. So Cutler moves on. McKenna, not really back to the drawing board. He's got some things to work on, that's for sure. But I'll tell you what, I'd love to see a rematch. Love to see a rematch here. This is a good matchup. Styles gel perfectly. And there was some real bad blood between them as well before the fight. Real bad blood. So, and it's kind of, the closing bell went, and they sort of touched gloves as to say, yeah, all right, good fight. And before the opening bell, the referee didn't even have to call them together. They were already virtually face-to-face and very reluctantly touched gloves. So there's some bad blood, and I wonder if the bad blood's going to continue, because McKenna will say, I won more rounds, I should have had the verdict. Cutler will say, well, you were on the floor twice, mate. Justice was served. This was a good fight, real tough, grueling fight. It was on Sky, and another little victory for Boxer, maybe, because this has been a pretty good card. This one with, we had Lauren Price looking fantastic earlier on. Vida O'Reilly made a comeback. Natasha Jonas and Ivana Habazin are going to fight. That's the headline act. This ain't a bad little card. I think Boxer are capable of putting together some good cards on Sky. They're just not doing enough of them. But if they have more fights like this, make no mistake about it, they'll keep their Boxer should keep their Sky contract, because this was a really, really good fight. Anyway, if you can have a look at it, go and see it. If you did see it, let me know what you think. Who did you think won? Or did you agree with me? Did you think it was a draw? Comments below as usual. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, and also a big left hook on the subscribe button as well, if you don't mind, because it's free and you're helping us out a great deal. Many, many thanks. We've got the main event to come, Jonas versus Habazin. I'll catch you later, and bye for now.